the second thing is that over time, we had some previous administrations in the government that wanted electric compressors. So for the pipelines and the distribution companies and the folks who are going to move the gas to the city gates, they had electric compressors rather than natural gas compressors because it was more fair to the environment. But all of a sudden, the electricity wasn't available. So that was two of the problems that we had, is that the electricity wasn't available, so the gas couldn't get processed, and then it couldn't get compressed. And then another thing that was happening is I think, and I don't know for sure, this is opinion, nothing that comes from TIAC or anything. This is just Taylor Sherwood just guessing, and that is that the city of Austin was saying they had rolling blackouts. I don't think so. I think they just decided not to buy gas for their power, or because some of those people their blackouts didn't roll. They stayed out for days. And to me, a rolling blackout would mean we're going to shut you down for maybe 6 hours, but we got to turn you back on again. That didn't happen. And so I think during the times when the electricity was $9,000 a kilowatt hour, the city just said, I'm not buying that. And in order to do that, they had to shut a big piece of the city down. Now, other cities didn't. And guess what? They've got some pretty big electric bills. Now, I haven't seen or heard that in print, but that's just me guessing what really happened here in Austin versus some of the other cities. And even in New Mexico, there's going to be some utilities that are in deep trouble because they still haven't figured out how to pay the big bills.
And there were people that got $14,000, $15,000 bills. It's my understanding that they're on the hook for those bills. I don't know.
Yeah, those are the folks that wanted to buy either green energy or wanted to buy wholesale, who got away from the big utilities and thought, maybe that would work for them, but it sure doesn't work when the unreliable energy sources didn't produce. And also Texas had a large piece of their supply that they normally have in the wintertime was the turbines and the solar, and there's no way any of that was running. And so it was a huge mess. And I hope the politicians are going to come in and say, talk to some of these folks who really knows what can happen, which means, back to natural gas compressors, which means don't interrupt the processing plants, which means buy firm transportation in the wintertime instead of subsidizing the wind and the solar. And that's what really needs to happen, but the politicians have to make that happen.
Taylor, Mike French, thank you for keeping dependable supply of gas to the town of Somerville.
Well, you're very welcome, Mr. French. And I know we did work a few more hours during all that, but I'm glad we ended up where we ended up. I appreciate your thanks.
Well, we certainly appreciate that. It's nice to have heat and electricity when you need it.
Yes, sir, it is.
Any other questions? We appreciate you being with us tonight, and you're certainly welcome to stay as long as you would like. But if you want to do something else, we understand that too.
Well, sure. Since I'm here, I may just kind of, hide in the back here and then just kind of catch up with Bob, tomorrow or the next day when I hear something back from A&R. I appreciate the opportunity to hear what you guys are up to.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate you being here tonight.
Have a good evening. I'll be in the background if somebody thinks of something near the end, or Bob can give them my contact information if somebody has a thought in the next couple of days. I'll be happy to visit with anybody.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening.
Thank you,
If with no objection, we will move to 7.7 since Andy is here with us tonight. Andy, if you'd like to come on. Bob, do you want to make a report on this?
Yeah, so we had the bid opening for the facade for the museum on Thursday. We got one bid, which was actually an estimate delivered to us via email, which basically is not a legal bid. There was no contract filled out, no nothing. So the one company that we were hoping was going to bid, they bowed out about a week before, basically because they had a scheduling conflict. Anyway, so I think Andy has some ideas. So if you want to talk about it, Andy.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks for,
We lost you, Andy. We can't.
okay.
You
Can you
cut
hear me
out.
now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Great. Thank you, Bob. And thank you, board. We are making progress. We did get the documents and we actually had a pretty good bid list, about 6 bid packages went out. As you guys know, contractors are very busy right now. And a small renovation project, it doesn't seem small to us, but to some of the companies, a small renovation project is not the most beneficial to their bottom line. So we only did receive the one price as an estimate. It was actually below our budget. That was good. We were concerned it didn't have the bid bonds, and it was an estimate, as Bob had mentioned. So what we had hoped to do is to try to rebid the project and recommend that we actually increase the scope of work to include some of the interiors. You know, if we do the exterior facade, it's going to look nice from the street, but it still won't be a usable space. And there's the second phase that's needed to occupy the building. So if we increase the scope of work and make it a project that's more desirable to bid on, we think it could be beneficial for everyone. But the timing didn't work for a couple of the bidders that we were talking to. And also, as you guys know, these material prices have escalated enormously. The entire country is dealing with lumber prices and other materials, glass and windows and doors. So longer lead time and increased pricing on materials. But I'll be glad to answer any questions that the board might have.
Are there any questions?
So I think, Mayor, what we were hoping is that either we rebid the project as is to see if we can go ahead and find a couple of bidders interested in giving us a bid on this project. And then maybe the one person who actually did bid, since we are not really showing anybody what that bid is yet, maybe figure out a way for him to get it turned in correctly. Or maybe increase the scope and allow Andy to develop a spec for the interior of the museum side, basically creating a white box like we were talking about before. It would basically about double the size of the project, maybe a little less than double, and maybe give us a better chance to, get a bidder that's willing to come out here. So what we were hoping is that maybe tonight or next month, we could go ahead and get Andy to develop the entire thing, or allow us to rebid the project and be ready for next month if that's possible. So I don't know what the board wants to do. Just let us know if there are any comments
Well,
on
I
that.
think, I think first we would have to have some serious discussion on exactly what we are going to do on the inside.
Okay.
I mean, while we've talked about it in general terms, I don't know that we've ever actually made a decision on that part of it. And I would like to see certainly more discussion on that before we made a decision tonight to start drawing the plans for it. I mean, we have had some general discussion, but nothing solid.
Mayor,
What?
Mayor, may I address?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, please.
Yes, in the process, the thought would be to create a conceptual or schematic design of the interior to show what the scope of work would be, and then come back after your comments are incorporated to do bid documents to put that out for bid. So it would be a two-step process that would incorporate some design that would have some feedback, you know, for the
Okay.
board.
So if we went back out again with just what we had, do you think we could get bidders the second time, or are we going to be looking at the same thing?
You know, it's concerning. I think the whole industry is concerned right now about material cost and the amount of projects that are underway. So you know, there was a lot of pent up demand, as you can imagine, with projects on hold for so long. So then there are a lot of projects on the street. There's challenges both from labor and material costs currently. So, but I wished I had a crystal ball and could answer your question, but I would not know.
Okay. Board members, Mike?
Yeah, Mayor, my feeling is this building is not going to last forever at this level. It's going to come down, and this may be, you know, if we wait a little bit longer, we get a better deal. What goes up must come down.
Sandra?
I don't want to delay it that long. Mike, I understand what you're saying, but I want us to go forward with this project. And maybe if we bid it out, showing the inside too, a builder or whatever would be more interested in maybe a $200,000 redo than they would be in 115 or whatever it is for the outside. If it was a bigger project, we might get more bids, is what I'm thinking. And I want us to go forward.
Judy?
I agree. I definitely agree with that, Sandra.
Thank you.
Okay, Colin, do you have any thoughts on it?
I'm just ready to see the project get to work, but I mean, I just want us to make sure we get some bids and actually just think about it and everything, make the smart move, and that's economically feasible. But I too am ready to get the project going.
James, do you have any comments?
Yes, ma'am. If we could put bids, the inner and the outer bids together and stay within budget, I can say let's get moving.
Okay. So do we want to, all right, so do we want to put together I assume, Andy, that you have some ideas on the interior?
We've seen some concepts that Mindy and Bob have shared with us, and we could definitely, we do have a couple of great examples of other museums that are the similar scale that we can show you guys. And I believe we have a direction, and we could put together a concept that we could provide so you can get some feedback.
And
Okay.
that picture in the magazine was pretty outstanding that you have on my desk there. That's pretty much what I think the direction we want to go, that we've been talking about.
Can you make probably illegal copies of that and send it out to the board members?
Right now.
So Andy, what would be the step? A contract with you to develop the concept, and then a secondary contract with you to do the documents? Is that how that would work?
Actually, the current contract that we have could just be modified to change the scope of work. And yeah, I think we could just take that as a board resolution and proceed.
So maybe we can get together, Andy, you, me, and Mendy get together next week or something, start talking about the scope so that you can develop this by the May workshop, which is, I think, the 5th or 6th.
Yes.
Yeah, May the 4th, sorry. Yeah.
All right, so we will work on the scope of that and then bring something to the board on May the 4th, you said, Bob?
That's the workshop.
Okay, well, if we had the documents ready, we could actually have a special meeting and approve that at that point too.
Yes, sir.
Is that agreeable to the board members? I don't know that we need a formal motion or vote, but if everybody seems to think that's agreeable, then we could work on that and bring something to the board on May the 4th, either for approval or for a concept, one of the two.
I think that's a great idea.
I do too.
Mayor, that's fine with me.
That's fine.
That's good by me.
Okay. All right, well, that's what we'll proceed with then, if we can work on that. Thank you, Andy.
Well, thank you very much. It's a beautiful, beautiful building, and we're excited to be helping the town with it.
Well, I know materials are unbelievable right now. It took me 4 weeks to just buy a double hung wood window for my house. I couldn't believe that.
That's Mayor, that's one of the things that we may have to change in the scope of the project, is a draw for materials, ordering materials, because these materials might take 2 months to get. And, some smaller contractors, they don't have that kind of cash laying around to be tied up for 2 months. So we may have to include a draw component in there that is not currently in the contract.
All right, well, we can discuss all that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Andy. Do you have anything else?
Nothing on this end. Thank you.
Okay, anybody have any questions for Andy? Okay, thank y'all. Thank you, Andy. We'll be in touch.
We'll get to work.
All right. We'll go back to the regular agenda, which Resolution 03-2021, a resolution honoring Mr. Alan Sanders. Bob, would you read the resolution, please?
Resolution reads, whereas Mr. Alan Sanders, resident of Somerville, Tennessee, husband of Mrs. Audrey C. Sanders, and whereas Mr. Alan Sanders was born on June 7th, 1925 in Mason, Tennessee, the son of late Jesse Allen Sanders and Lena Belia, I'm assuming, Sanders. And whereas Mr. Alan Sanders graduated from Fayette County High School in 1943, whereas Mr. Alan Sanders served his country in the Army Marine Corps during World War II, and whereas Mr. Alan Sanders married the former Audrey Cole on September 24th, 1947, and whereas Mr. Alan Sanders, after returning from World War II, worked at Farmers Hardware for 4 years, and then purchased the store, which is currently still currently one of the town square's largest retailers and attracts customers from all over West Tennessee. And whereas Mr. Allen Sanders is survived by his wife of 74 years, Audrey Sanders, his son, John Sanders, granddaughters, Angela Dykus, Tiffany Sanders, and Belia Chomick, and two great-grandsons, Ian Dykus and Michael Chomick. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the town of Somerville that Mr. Allen Sanders is hereby recognized by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the town of Somerville for his service to the United States during World War II and his 74 years of service and dedication to the citizens of Somerville and Fayette County.
Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution. Is there any discussion?
Did I miss that Mr. Sanders passed away?
Yes, ma'am. He did.
Yes,
Oh, no. When did it happen?
about 2 weeks ago now.
Oh, no. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Roll call.
Please.
Colin,
Aye.
Judy,
Aye.
James,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Sandra,
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank y'all. If you will prepare that appropriately for presentation to the family.
Yes, sir.
6.3 hyperreach emergency notifications. This is something that Mr. Lofty's brought up to me at the board meeting or at the retreat. I think we were talking about it. And I thought I had remembered signing up with the county several years ago about a directed siren bad weather warning system that the county had. Looked into it and they do still have that. Mindy, would you want to explain some of this?
Yes, sir. Just a quick side note. Did you notice that there was a app on your phone, or did I download that and not even know that I did?
I think you must have downloaded that and not knowing it, because I don't have it on my phone, or it's hiding from me. Now I'm not.
Well,
It could be on my phone and I just don't know it, but.
I probably did it just to see if, it was all real. So that sounds like something I would do as well. Hyperreach is something very useful. I've been asked just recently, actually, through social media. It asked why we didn't have sirens. And I explained exactly what Hunter told me, and, that you don't have to have that, and it's for outside workers and things like that. But this hyperreach is provided by Fayette County EMS. And the really neat thing about this is they will call your home phone, they will call your cell phone, and you can put multiple numbers down. So when I signed up my phone, my daughter's phone, my husband's phone, and my mother's phone. So if one of us happened to sleep through something, somebody else would be awake. But again, it is something that, a lot of people say, oh, well, I have an app, or I have a weather app or something. There are a lot of folks in the town of Somerville that do not have cell phones, or they don't have smartphones. So that's not going to help them. Again, you post your address, street, or, all of your information, your phone numbers, who you would like to have them contact. You do not have to have an email address to do this. And I would like to offer to any of you that know folks that do not have this information, I will, if you give them the number of City Hall, or you can even give them my cell phone, I can take down their information and sign them up directly. When I think about things like these, my mom she has a smartphone, but she doesn't have any apps. She doesn't use it but for phone calls. There's no way that anyone would know about this unless you're either signed up for our emails, you look at the county website, and really that's about it. And again, like Mayor Neal said, it has been around for a little bit. I think they've updated it now that there is an app available for your smartphone. I don't know what it would do. I didn't get any notifications during the past couple of storms. I think maybe it is just for severe weather. But again, hopefully it would be helpful.
And this, this
go ahead, I'm sorry.
concept is supposed to be more directed than just one of these weather radios. I got a weather radio one time and decided I could either listen to the weather in Arkansas or I could go to sleep, but I couldn't do both. This is supposed to be more targeted so that the only way you get a notice in Somerville is if there's something coming toward Somerville.
That's
It's
right.
not just a general alert system that would alert you that there's something going on in Covington or in Brownsville. It has to be headed directly towards Somerville. So it's much more directed than weather sirens or some of these weather radios and things.
That's right.
But we just want to make sure we get the word out to everyone since we're approaching, and I guess have already had part of that season upon us.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to thank James again for reminding me of this so that I could go on there and sign up again. I'm assuming I was already signed up, but now I know I am. Any comments, any questions? Okay. Just everybody go on, you can go on the Fayette County website and sign up, or you could use this link that's Mindy included in our agenda.
Yes, and it's also on the Town of Somerville website under news stories, and it's on the direct email I send out.
Okay. And if somebody doesn't know how to do that, get them to contact City Hall and we will sign them up for them.
Yes, please have them ask for Mindy. I don't want to make anybody at the front desk angry.
Okay. With that, the next item is the consent agenda, which is a rather lengthy consent agenda. Is there anything that anybody wants pulled off the consent agenda for discussion? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Would you call the roll, Bob?
Judy? Judy? Mike? Sandra? Colin? James? Mayor?
Aye. Consent agenda is approved. Next item is 7.2, a motion to adopt ordinance 2021-004, an ordinance amending Title 14, Chapter 2 of the Town of Somerville Municipal Code, the zoning ordinance on first reading. You have in your packet a one-page review that Bob has prepared. Bob, would you like to go over that?
Sure. Section 1 just remove some conflicting language within the zoning ordinance. Since we did change the table of uses, table 1, table of uses a couple of months ago, there was some conflicting language in there. And this there's some conflicting language that will be created through this ordinance as well that we removed. So that's all that Section 1 does. Section 2 changes the entire Section 2, which are the BZA regulations. Part 201 is unchanged. 202 is unchanged. 203 basically remains the same, but the appeals process is listed numerically rather than in paragraph form. That's for us to understand it and for people wanting to present something to the BZA for them to understand the appeals process as well, easier. Section 4 expanded much more comprehensive accounting of what constitutes a special exception and how the BZA is to adjudicate the request. and what constitutes a variance and how to present a variance, a request for a variance to the BZA, and then the guidelines for the BZA to follow to approve or not approve a variance or a special exception. Then part 5 is a new section that we added, post decision requests. Initially, I think in the old zoning ordinance, well, in the current zoning ordinance, I mean, there's language in there that says that the board has authority to overturn decisions by the BZA, and this section is made to clarify all of the of how everybody can have a post decision request, and it gives them a step-by-step way to do that to avoid any kind of problems.
But yeah, on this part, the appeal is if they do not like the decision of the Board of Zoning Appeals, then they can request a rehearing to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Yes,
If they still do not like the request, then they go to court.
that's correct. Yes, sir. Or they can just go straight to court if they want to. But yes, sir, that's it.
Okay.
Next section, section 3, codifies the process for rezoning the property. We've rezoned a few properties lately, and there was no real process in the zoning ordinance. So this just shows the process for rezoning a property, when you have to do what, and how exactly you have to do it. Sections 4 through 9 changes the word appeal to the word special exception, since we eliminated the word appeal off of our table of uses, or table 1 or table of uses. So it just makes everything work verbally. I mean, so you know exactly where what you're looking for. Section 10 was amended. Communication towers was listed in the zoning ordinance, and on the table of uses, it was listed as, what was it listed as, Mayor?
Telecommunications tower.
That's correct. Telecommunications towers. That's right. Oh, I'm sorry. No, section 10, that's section 11. Section 10 removes the redevelopment district from the allowance in the paragraph. So we decided not to allow communication towers in the redevelopment district, but on paragraph 14.2-1402, it actually says that it's allowed in there. So in order to match it up with the table of uses, we removed the RD from that paragraph. And then again, the last section is we changed the word telecommunication towers listed on table 1 to communications towers, so that they match, the two sections match. The section part 14, which calls out communication towers, and the table of uses match completely. So the Planning Commission went over this. We spent several months working on this, and I think that we've got a good ordinance to move forward with, and then incorporate into our zoning ordinance.
Are there questions?
Yes.
And this is first reading, right?
Yeah, this is the first reading.
Okay. Okay. Are there any questions? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance on first reading?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve ordinance 2021-004 on first reading. Is there any discussion? Bob, would you call the roll?
James?
Aye.
Sandra?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Judy?
Aye.
Colin?
Aye.
Mayor?
Aye. Motion passes. 7.3, a motion to amend ordinance 2021-005 by changing the new zone from low-density residential to high-density residential. And would you explain this one, Bob?
Yes, sir. This was supposed to be explained last week at the workshop, and I guess we skipped over it. I don't know how that happened, but anyway, we did a staff review of, so the property at Bluff Creek subdivision is going to be rezoned with the intention of subdividing those two properties into house properties, residential properties. So we looked at the rest of the subdivision and it's zoned low density residential. However, when we checked the minor subdivision on the both properties that we were going to do, we're going to present to the planning commission at the meeting in May. It was determined that the width of those properties, they were not wide enough to accommodate a house in low density residential. So in order to accommodate the houses, which it's like 3 feet short of being correct, but anyway, so we decided to go ahead and try to ask the board to change that low density residential to high density residential in order for Mr. Wright to sell those properties and be able to build a house on them, legitimately build a house on them legally. So we're just asking the board if they would please make a motion here to change the, even though the planning commission recommended the low density residential, they did not have the subdivision in their possession at that time. And we reviewed it thoroughly last week and determined that it needs to be high density and not low density.
So you would have the 2 lots on each side of the entrance would be high density, or you would have, 2 lots on
Yes.
each side entering the subdivision would be high density, then the balance of the subdivision would be low density.
Well, in reality, though, I'm telling you, it's 2 or 3 feet short of being low density residential. So in order to allow for that 100 feet of space, or I'm sorry, 75 feet would be, it's right now 100, but you're talking 98 feet is where it is right now on most of that building line. So in order for us to allow the houses to be built there without coming back and changing it again, we're going to have to go ahead and change it now so we can get the houses built in there. And it won't, there will be no noticeable different, nothing noticeable to the people in the subdivision. It's 2 feet difference. So in my opinion, anyway.
Okay, is there a motion to approve ordinance 2021-005 on first reading?
I move.
Is there a second?
Second.
This is a motion to amend ordinance 005, right?
Right.
Yes, sir. Sorry, go ahead. James, you were the second.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, is there any discussion?
Mayor, Bob, this is Tom Miner.
Yes, sir.
I think the word low needs to be removed from section 1 of the ordinance, where it says, be it rezoned from general business to, it says, as currently typed, low high density. That should just be high density, correct?
Yes, sir. So I left the low in there to show you the word that's going to be changed. And I don't have the mayor's prowess on putting a line through the word low, so I just left it in there.
Okay.
I wanted to put a line through it. I was looking all over the place to figure out how to put that line through it, and I couldn't figure it out. So I
It's
just
up
kind
at
of,
the top. I'll show you.
Okay, I know it's up at the top. I just couldn't figure out where. So
Okay.
what I wanted to do was put a line through low and change it to high, but I just highlighted the high instead. So it's just changing that, yes. Anyway, so this motion is actually for amending this ordinance right now, right?
Right.
Yes, okay. So then we get to the next one, which is actually approving the amended ordinance.
All right. Whoa, wait a minute. You've just lost. me.
Okay, sorry, we're on amending the ordinance right now. Right?
We are on motion to amend ordinance.
Okay, no, I hadn't watched it.
No, wait a minute. All right. Well, we don't need to do, forget.
We don't need all that.
Yeah, forget 7.3.
Okay.
That guy was on there doing the
David,
video.
could I ask you to mute your
See it.
microphone, please?
You'd have to have blood insurance.
David,
Yes.
could you please mute?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was muted. I'm sorry.
Thank you. All right, so I don't think we need that, Bob. I think we just
Yes.
need to move straight to ordinance 21
Yes, sir.
2021-05.
Yes, sir. I
And
got you.
then we need to strike the low there.
Yes, sir. And I'll get it out of there for the second reading.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So we have a motion to approve on first reading ordinance 2021-005. And that will read from general business to high density residential in
That's
both
correct.
places on first reading.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Are the mover and the second agreeable to that on their motions?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any discussion on the motion? Please call the roll.
Colin,
Aye.
Sandra,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
James,
Aye.
Judy, Mayor.
Aye.
I don't know if we lost.
Judy's still with us, but she's showing she's muted. Judy,
Yeah.
are you still there? Okay, the motion passes. I guess Judy's voting present.
Okay.
7.5.
Uh,
Okay, Judy's voting aye.
sorry.
7.5, a motion to approve the amended Town of Somerville Arts Commission. The only thing I've changed is the name. It's now the Somerville Museum and Arts Commission. There was in Article 3, it says a majority of the members must be residents of the town of Somerville or Fayette County instead of all. And then in section 8, there may be at least one non-voting member of the town of Somerville staff at the meetings. When it said there shall, it seems to me that meant you couldn't have a meeting unless a staff member was there. And was that the only places?
The number of people to 9.
Yes,
And-
that's right.
and you-
I didn't
And
highlight
you
that.
increase the quorum to 5.
Well, yes, because you're going to have 9. You want to have a majority for a quorum.
And
So
I'll-
that would increase the number to 9. I
But the-
actually, since then, have thought I'd like to have one more amendment. I would like for it to say that there will be 9 commissioners, one of which is the mayor or the mayor's designee, which would mean the mayor, it's kind of like on the planning commission, the mayor can designate someone to take their place. And then if the mayor shows up, they can kind of take it back from them for that meeting if they want to. But I have more interest than I anticipated in the number of people wishing to be on this board. So that would give me the chance to appoint 9, and then I personally could still attend the meetings, but wouldn't necessarily vote. I would just be there like a staff member.
So right now, Mayor, it says one of which is the mayor of the town of Somerville or another member of the board and mayor and alder designated by the mayor. So do you want that changed to read something
I
different?
want that to say, yes, one of which is the mayor or the mayor's designee.
Okay.
And then the rest of it's okay.
Mayor, would the staff member be an ex officio member where they could?
Well, yes, they would have the right to discuss, and I believe it's
Does that not need to be in there that, you know?
well, it says who will participate in an advisory role.
Okay, thank you.
So with those changes, is there a motion to approve the Town of Somerville Museum and Arts Commission bylaws?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept those changes. Is there any discussion?
Oh, Mayor,
Uh,
what,
yes.
but I have some discussion. You know,
Okay.
we're compensating the planning commission. At some point, do you think we ought to compensate these people, whether it be $25 for the month or $50 for the month, or?
I would say let's wait until we get into this and see how it's all going to work and go from there before
Okay,
we
that's
did
fine.
that.
That's fine.
And then at some point, I mean, obviously this would be a board that to get started probably would meet more than it would 2 or 3 years down the road. But, you know, there may be some other adjustments we need to make as we go through this. But if we could start with what I've proposed here, I'd appreciate it. Is there any other discussion?
Yes, did you say that there would be 9 board members plus
Yes.
you or a designated?
No, that there would be either one of the 9 would either be the mayor, or the mayor would have the right to designate someone as their,
Okay,
as them. So the mayor, if the mayor shows up at a meeting and voting, then their designee wouldn't vote at that meeting. There'd still only be 9 voting members. Any other discussion? If you would call the roll.
Colin,
Aye.
Judy,
uh,
James,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Sandra,
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye. Motion passes. Item 7.6 is a motion to approve the nominees, which I have not presented to you because I have run into this problem of trying to figure out and sort out how this is all going to work. So I would like to put that off until the next meeting. I've talked with some people that I'm waiting to hear back from them. And luckily, we do have a lot of interest in this, and I want to try to accommodate everybody as much as I can. So I need a little more time, but we will get this done in May. If that's agreeable, well, it'll have to be agreeable with y'all because I have to nominate them before y'all can approve them. So, but I would appreciate another month to get that sorted out. 7.7, we've already handled. 7.8, update on the status of the fireworks. Mindy, I think you have something on that.
Yes, sir. I spoke to Dr. Hamlet regarding the fireworks. She had to go through and check, obviously, with her board, their attorney, EMA, and whomever else she might have to answer to regarding that. But she said they are all a go. We do have permission to do the event. Since then, I've contacted the sound and lights person and the fireworks individual, and they both are available as well. So it's really up to our board now.
And the band.
And the band. But I'm fairly certain I've kind of been in talks with them, and I believe they're available, but I wanted to have kind of all of our ducks in a row. I didn't want to get a musician excited without something to give to them.
Right. That's what, two months away, basically, from
Yes, sir.
now. 2 months, 2 weeks, I guess. And what would be the drop dead deadline to pull this off?
The only thing at this point, in my opinion, obviously, are the sponsors. Sponsors don't move quickly. You know, obviously, our largest sponsor in recent years have been the Bank of Fayette County. So you know, it's the logistics of it are pretty well set up. I mean, I have a manual on the whole event. That's not a big deal. But the sponsorship for the door prizes, as well as paying for the actual fireworks themselves, that is something, I would need to move on as quickly as possible. But I'll work under whatever guidelines you all give me.
Of course, I guess we could always approach a sponsor and tell them that, we're not 100% yet, but if they're willing, then, they would be the sponsor if we had the deal. I just, Memphis is having 150 new cases a day every day, and the vaccinations have slowed up. And if y'all know of people that want to be vaccinated, but it does not work out to go out here to the high school, they can go to Memphis. You can go on the Memphis website and make an appointment in Memphis at one of their sites. And they currently have lots of appointments available that people are not filling. So that is an opportunity. This is paid for with federal and state money. So even though it's in Memphis, it's available to anybody out here that would like to use those sites down there. So I don't know. Could we have some comments from the board? What do y'all wish to do?
I think we should do it. I noticed Rossville's having their festival. And isn't Oakland having
Saturday.
something? Yeah.
Yeah, they just had Spring Fest this past Saturday in Rossville, and then of course, Rossville's, of course, they're moving forward, making their plans to have their barbecue fest in September, and then the Chamber of Commerce is open and planning to move forward with Cotton Festival on September 11th, which is going to be the 20th anniversary of 9/11. So there's going to be a lot of patriotic events that are wanting to be done that day.
And with
Are we
this being
going to
outside,
say mask required or anything like that?
Well, see, I don't think we can decide all that now. I think at one point the projection was another peak in June or July. So nobody knows yet. I mean, this new variant that is taking over in Tennessee.
And is much worse than the other one.
Well, it's 50% more transmissible and 30% more lethal.
Right.
So, I mean, while I would love to be back to normal. I'd love to say, what virus? But I also, at the same time, don't want to host a super spreader event.
Mayor, yesterday I attended at Over the Park Shell Ballet Memphis, and they required masks to come in, and they required you to, groups to sit 6 feet apart, but you could take your mask off after you sat down. But if you got up, you had to put your mask on, and it was followed very well.
Did they have you 6 feet apart or?
Yes, ma'am.
Like
basically 6 feet apart. You're 2 to 4 people could sit close to each other, but if they were together. But then
did they have it roped off, or did they have it circles on the grounds, or what did they do?
No, but people were observing that. They had signs that said what to do. So.
Because I have seen a few events where they actually had lined off like circles on the ground that, you had to stay within.
A family or something could stay in the circle.
Right.
But I'm not sure how well that works with a bunch of kids.
Well, there were several
run around
children
a
there.
lot.
There were several children there yesterday, and it was lovely.
Well, I think we could move forward, but I don't know that we're ready to say without a doubt that we're going to do it. I mean, that's the way I feel. Of course, I have one vote, so when it comes down to it. But I mean, if you told me right now that I had to make the decision to either go or no go today, then I would have to vote against it myself, but I'm just one vote.
I think definitely it should be masked because 50% of the people aren't getting. I mean, I've had my 2 and my 2 weeks plus, but that's just me. I mean, I know most of y'all probably have too, but I don't know.
Well, I have, but
I think masks should be absolutely required.
I agree with that, but policing that would be very difficult.
Well, it would.
Unfortunately, this has become a political thing.
Gosh.
I think it certainly could be, that's the problem with something like this. There is no right answer. The one benefit that I can see from it, I know that I've heard, and maybe it's changed, but the virus does not like heat. It does not like sunlight. So that, may be a benefit, but I could see, and Miss Sandra, I agree with you, but I could see people saying, I can't breathe, it's too hot, I can't wear it, I have a breathing condition, it's against my, rights, things like that, and that's just my opinion. You guys are much smarter than I am, but I think it would be very difficult, and it's kind of a hot point with a lot of people.
I know plenty of people that they say if they got to wear a mask, then they're just like, then I ain't coming. That's
right.
just,
and
how
I think that's
they are.
I agree, Colin. I think that they're it doesn't there is no right answer, in my opinion.
Well, there is a right answer, but people don't want to abide by it.
Well, I agree with that. I guess I'm saying there's no right answer without making somebody mad.
You don't have a right to make other people sick.
I agree.
I don't care where your right to your freedoms stop where they start infringing on my rights. So
I completely agree.
You don't have the right to do that. I guess we're going to do away with smallpox and measles vaccinations next. I don't know.
You're right. No, I agree.
All right, if it's all right with the board, we will move ahead and make plans, but then we will at some point, probably at our next meeting, have to decide either go or no go and what the rules will be.
Okay. I have permission to request the major sponsor. Should I go forward and, on the premise that this may or may not happen, should I move forward? I can do that in, May and part of June. I would have approximately 5 weeks to do that. So just move forward with the Bank of Fayette County requesting sponsorship if we choose to do it.
Well, they certainly would get the first choice. They've done it now for several years. So, I think it would definitely be up to them to turn it down first.
Okay. All right.
And they've done the full amount too.
Yeah.
Right.
Not just a portion.
Right.
What are the numbers right now?
Go ahead, Colin.
What are the numbers right now on COVID on the levels around here and in the state?
Around here, they're about the way they measure it. It's the last time I looked, let's see, there were 13 or 14 cases since Friday.
Okay.
It's been running anywhere in Fayette County. It's been running anywhere from 6 or 7 up to 12 or 13 cases, new cases a day. In Memphis, it's been about 150 cases every day for the last 3 or 4 days. The state has been running about 1,000 to 1,100 cases per day.
Right.
Hospitalizations were down over the weekend, but they had moved back up. The task force in Memphis is, they're very concerned. They think there's a way to get ahead of it by people getting vaccinated. But if you look at what happened in Michigan, where this variant has already taken over, and you compare it to Tennessee, I mean, it hit just really with almost no warning. Now, one of the good things about this area is that in Memphis, they are testing quite a few cases for the variant. And so they've probably got a better handle on that in Shelby County than they do in the state because they are testing. I was just reading an article today where it was talking about how people didn't have the ability to test for the variants. Well, in Memphis, they're testing about 30% of the cases for the variants. They're also, it got so bad at one point that you really couldn't even contact trace. But right now there's fewer cases of the variant. So when they're catching those, they're immediately getting on it and getting those people quarantined. So hopefully they won't be spreading it. But it's still up in the air. As Friday on the call, they talked about, right now, nobody's sure what is going to happen. It really depends on how many people get vaccinated. And there's about a 2-week lag on everything. I mean, if you have the super spreader event today, it doesn't show up for a couple of weeks. Then a couple of weeks later, people wind up in the hospital. And then a couple of weeks later, people die. So, I mean, that's the way it works. So you're always wondering what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to show up tomorrow. So I don't think anybody knows.
Right.
We can say for sure.
Well, I guess we just, I just say we just have, in about, I guess it'll be a week this Saturday and then another week. We just keep an eye on what happened after, since they had that spring festival in Rossville, and see if anything. And like I said, just like, as you said, Mayor, just move forward we're planning on doing it, but just be prepared if, when the time comes, if it's just looking bad and not trending in the way it's been trending in a positive direction, then I guess we just have to make that hard decision.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's all we can do, because we just, I just had a good friend in Nashville die last Saturday from COVID, 64 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Real underlying health problems. So, I mean, it's very, right now it's very dangerous to older folks, not to kids right now, but, the longer the virus stays around, the more it mutates, and the more it mutates, then what happens? Today it's not all that dangerous to kids as a whole, but what if it mutates so that it is? So it's just, I think if everybody will just remain calm for a little while longer and people will get vaccinated, we can get this behind us. But otherwise, it's just going to be something lingering out there that we're putting up with for a long time. All right, now that I've gotten off my soapbox, we can move on, I guess, with the meeting.
I want to ask Mindy one thing.
Go right ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
Mindy, what about the Cotton Festival? Have they decided about that yet?
I would say that
the chamber.
Well, I believe, Colin, are you still on the board over there?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, the chamber, talking with the other chamber members and Miss Tina, they're wanting to move forward with it. They got big plans they're wanting to get approved by the city and
Sure.
they just want to have a really good cotton festival to make up for skipping it last year. And then also it's scheduled to be on 9/11. So, and it being the 20th anniversary, there's just a lot of
Sure.
Oh, that'd be
patriotic and honoring and remembrance of things they're wanting to do since
Sure.
it's the 20th anniversary.
okay.
And
I just
I would
wondered
say-
if they had made their decision.
Well, and I would say, you know, I would come before the board prior to the festivals, and I would say probably in the next couple of months they will be, you know, requesting that directly to, you know, our board. But yeah, I haven't heard, you know, either way, but it makes sense that they would be focusing on it just because they had the Rossville Festival.
Let me throw out something
Right.
here. What if we had the fireworks and music at the Cotton Festival in honor of 20
9/11.
years of 9/11?
Well, that's not, you know, a bad idea. It's really whatever you guys want to do, obviously.
Well, I guess one
I
of the
mean, just
questions.
because. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, one of the questions is the Cotton Festival's on the square. You wouldn't want to stop and have to go to the high school for the fireworks.
Right.
But we could look at all that and see if there's,
Well,
Bob, if you would talk to the fire chief about how we could do something like that.
And I would point out the Cotton Festival, you know, usually wraps up close to dark, and you're going to want to go see the fireworks at night anyways. So
Right.
The only problem with that might be opening the road, because usually the Cotton Festival's over by 4 or 5, and getting the road clear with all the vendors usually takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours. That would be the only logistics issue I could think of.
Maybe we could direct traffic around the square. You know, down West Street and, you know, another street where they could get out to go to the high school.
Sure.
Without coming through the square itself.
Okay, well, it
I don't
sounds
know,
like
it's
we
just
got a
something
lot of balls to play with up in the air here to figure out how we can figure all this out.
Sorry, I threw that in.
No, I think that's a good idea.
I do too.
Yeah.
I
I
do.
mean, maybe by September we would know more about what we wanted to
Yes.
do. Just because
Yes.
we've always had it right before the 4th doesn't mean we can't change it.
Exactly.
I mean, we could do something like in the newspaper due to COVID.
Right.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's not even.
And
And
it-
I
and
think
if-
people would
and-
enjoy it, especially since it's 9/11, celebrating
Yeah.
or
20 years.
remembering 9/11, and I think it might be good to have it, try to get that date and do something like that. And I'd probably feel safer. We don't know what it's going to be like in September. It could be worse than it is now. I'm just saying, I guess that a little more time might be good. And it would probably be more comfortable. The
Yeah,
Yes.
that's true.
temperature would
That's a good
probably be
point.
nicer.
Definitely.
All right, well, let's move ahead right now and have some discussions with other folks, and then we can discuss it again in May. If that's agreeable with
good.
everyone.
Hmm.
Lots of good ideas out of this discussion, so thank y'all. there is no more business on the agenda. Is there anything anyone needs to bring up?
Yes, Mayor. I was
Yes, sir.
contacted today by Mrs. Toad. She brought up that there's a lot of overgrowth near her house, and she's wondering if the city could do anything about it.
We will go up there and look and see if it's on our right of ways. She has brought some things before that, I mean, we really had no control over, Mr. Losses. But we will look at it and see what we can do.
I know, but I want me to make me promise to bring it up tonight. So
Yes, sir.
going
Yes,
through
sir.
with
And we will look at that tomorrow and see if there. Anything else? All right, well, this may be the last Zoom meeting, and we may be meeting in person from now on. We'll just have to see what the governor does and go from there.
My understanding, he didn't renew the thing, so.
He was certainly leaning against it. TML, I think, was talking to him about renewing it again, but he never does that until just 3 or 4 days before it expires. And I think it expires April the 28th. Is that right, Bob?
I
Yes,
think it's 26th or the 28th. Yes, sir.
yeah.
Okay. So we probably won't know anything before the 24th or 5th, but I frankly would be surprised if he extends it. If there's nothing else, we are adjourned. Thank y'all.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.